All right. Hello, everyone. I see quite a few classes are already signed on, and we're going to have more join us as they get to a comfortable place in their classrooms. Congratulations to everyone in Summit View for helping meet our Read-a-Thon goal in February. In fact, we met that goal over and over and over and over again, raising more than $12,000 for our PTO, which is going to be put towards our new inclusive playground, which is right over there. Let me lift this up and you can take a look. That side of the school. So today I'm very excited. I'm going to be joined by a lot of teachers and staff members to read their favorite books to all of you. So if you could, teachers, make sure that you are muted, and then you can just have this on in the classroom, and students, please enjoy some of our favorite stories for all of you. And if it does start to rain, we will turn it off and we'll pick up again another time, okay? All right, so I get to start off, and I'm going to read one of my favorite books that actually Miss Walbert introduced me to, and it's called A Beautiful Oops. And I know that she reads this to some of her classes, so you may have heard this before, but that's the best thing about books. Every time you hear it again and again, you hear something new that you love. So this is Beautiful Oops by Barney Salzberg. Oops! A torn piece of paper is just the beginning. Every spill has lots of possibilities. Bent paper is something to celebrate. A little drip of paint lets your imagination run wild. A scrap of paper can be fun to play with. A smudge and a smear can make magic appear. A stain has lots of possibilities for you to play with. Holes in your paper are worth exploring. You can see that. You can see that the author and illustrator put in some artwork inside of those holes. When you think you've made a mistake,
right now.
Oops.
Want to play time?
Think of it as an opportunity to make something beautiful. I love that book. It makes me think of Summit View all the time when I read it at home to my son. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to introduce our next reader, Mr. Lautenbach. Bring him out.
I'm not sure if I can use them.
Hey everybody, I'm going to read one of my favorite books by Peter H. Reynolds called Ish. Ramon loved to draw. Anytime, anything, anywhere. One day, Ramon was drawing a vase of flowers. His brother Leon leaned over his shoulder. Leon burst out laughing. "What is that?" he asked. Ramon could not even answer. He just crumpled up the drawing and threw it across the room. Leon's laughter haunted Ramon. He kept trying to make his drawings look right, but they never did. After many months and many crumpled sheets of paper, Ramon put his pencil down. "I'm done." Marisol, his sister, was watching him. "What do you want?" he snapped. "I was watching you draw," she said. Ramon sneered. "I'm not drawing. Go away." Marisol ran away, but not before picking up a crumpled sheet of paper. "Hey, come back here with that." Ramon raced after Marisol, up the hall and into her room. He was about to yell, but fell silent when he saw his sister's walls. He stared at the crumpled gallery. This is one of my favorites, Marisol said, pointing. That was supposed to be a vase of flowers, Ramon said, but it doesn't look like one. Well, it looks vase-ish, she exclaimed. Vase-ish? Ramon looked closer. Then he studied all the drawings on Marisol's wall and began to see them in a whole new way. They do look ish, he said. Ramon felt light and energized. Thinking ishly allowed his ideas to flow freely. He began to draw what he felt, loose lines quickly springing out without worry. Ramon once again drew the world around him. Making ish drawings felt wonderful. He filled his journals, tree-ish, house-ish, boat-ish, afternoon-ish, fish-ish, sun-ish. Ramon realized he could draw ish feelings too. Peace-ish, silly-ish, excited-ish. His ish art inspired ish writing. He wasn't sure if he was writing poems, but he knew they were poem-ish. Ponder, ponder, dream yonder, pond, yond, gleam wander. Ramon. One spring morning, Ramon had a wonderful feeling. It was a feeling that even ish words and ish drawings could not capture. He decided not to capture it. Instead, he simply savored it. And Ramon lived ishfully ever after. The end, ish. This is one of my favorite drawings by one of my favorite books by one of my favorite authors, Peter H. Reynolds. Now I'd like to welcome Mrs. Stagel.
Hello! I know I'm a little shorter, so you can only see part of me, but I'm going to read one of my very favorite books by one of my favorite children's authors. Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus by Mo Willems. Hi, I'm the bus driver. Listen, I've got to leave for a little while, so can you watch things for me until I get back? Thanks. Oh, and remember, don't let the pigeon drive the bus. I thought he'd never leave. Hey, can I drive the bus? Please. I'll be careful. I tell you what, I'll just steer. My cousin Herb drives the bus almost every day. True story. Vroom, 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 vroom. Pigeon at the wheel. No, I never get to do anything. Hey, I've got an idea. Let's play drive the bus. I'll go first. Come on. Just once around the block. I'll be your best friend. How about I give you $5? What's the big deal? It's just a bus. No fair. I thought your mom would let me. I have dreams, you know. Fine. Let me drive the bus! let the pigeon drive the bus, did you? Great. Thanks a lot. Uh-oh. Bye. Hey. One of the things that I love the most about Mo Willems' books is that in a lot of the pigeon ones, you can kind of read with the book and talk about it with the book. So that's one of my very favorites. So now I'm going to welcome our next reader, Mrs. Gill. Hello. Thinking I can hear all the clapping. All right, the book I'm going to read is Henry and the Buccaneer Bunnies by Carolyn Crimey. Cruising the seven seas on a rickety old ship called the Salty Carrot sailed a wild, rowdy band of buccaneer bunnies. They were bad, bad bunnies, all right. When pirates on other ships saw their long, floppy ears and their fluffy white tails, they shook with fear. The captain of the Salty Carrot was Barnacle Black-Ear Bunny, the baddest bunny brute of all time. Black-Ear was proud of his wooden paw, his golden earrings, and his mean reputation. What Black-Ear was not proud of was his son, Henry. Instead of performing his proper pirating duties, Henry was more interested in reading the books the Buccaneers stole from other ships. Here he is over here reading. Shout, "Shiver me timbers," Black-Ear ordered. "I'd rather finish this chapter," said Henry. "Make this prisoner walk the plank." "Can't I just read about it?" asked Henry. "Find yourself a parrot for your shoulder. First, I need to read up on proper parrot care." "Buccaneer bunnies don't need books," said Black-Ear. "Toss 'em overboard," he yelled to the other bunnies. "No, wait," cried Henry. "Let me just finish reading them first." "Avast," cried Black-Ear. "Swab the deck until ye come to your senses." And so Henry swabbed decks day after day while reading some of his favorite books like Rabbits and Crusoe and 30 Days to Longer Ears. Get it? Bunnies have ears. "Bet you can't learn how to do this from a book," Jean the Hare said while sharpening his hook. Henry sighed and turned the page. "You'll never find booty like this in a book," Calico Jack Rabbit told him, holding up his stolen loot. Henry just shrugged and turned the page. "Can't do this with a book in yer paw," Bartholomew Bunny said while standing on his peg leg. Henry just turned another page. As much as he loved his books, Henry was a lonely Buccaneer Bunny if ever there was one. Then one morning he looked up at the red sky and wiggled his pink little nose. He heard the parrot squawk and saw fish jumping out of the water. "If my books on meteorology are correct, those signs mean a big storm is coming, heading this way," thought Henry. Henry tried telling Jean the Hare about the upcoming storm. Excuse me, but I believe a storm is coming," Henry said. But Jean was too busy polishing his pieces of 8. "Go back to your books, Henry." He tried telling Calico Jack Rabbit. I'm pretty sure a storm is on its way," Henry said. But Calico Jack was too busy admiring his tattoo of cabbage. "Don't bother me now, Henry." Finally, Henry called, "Batten down the hatches! A huge storm is coming!" "What do you know about storms?" Black-Ear demanded. "Get back to swabbing the deck before I make shark bait out of those books of yours." Henry did as he was told, but he kept his little pink eyes on the skies. When he saw the rats abandoning ship, he started packing up his books in empty treasure chests. The storm started small. A few low grumbles of thunder, a spike of lightning, Then suddenly a crashing, bashing, thrashing wildcat of hurricane broke loose. It shook the ship, suffering sea dogs. It mangled the mast. Great blimey villages! It slashed the sails, damaged the deck, and ripped up the rickety old salty carrot. All that was left floating on the choppy waters were a bunch of soggy bunnies and Henry's treasure chest filled with books. When the storm finally calmed down, Black-Ear, Henry, and the rest of the buccaneers paddled to the nearest island. "We're ruined," wailed Black-Ear. "No ship, no pieces of eight, no gems." He sat in the sand and blubbered like a lily-livered landlubber. But Henry got right to work. The first thing he did was build a 2-story hut out of palm fronds and coconuts. "How did ye learn to do that?" asked Black-Ear. "I read it in 101 Things to Do with Palm Fronds and Coconuts," replied Henry. Next, he built a fire and cooked up a tasty seaweed stew. "Blimey," said the hungry bunnies. "Where did ye learn that?" "I found the recipe in Quick and Easy Meals for Marooned Pirates," said Henry. Then he made them all fetching garments from the bits and pieces he had salvaged from his shipwreck. "We look like gentle bunnies, we do. What swank swashbucklers we are." "Arr, and it's all from them landlubbin' books," said Black-Ear, shaking his head. Henry taught Black-Ear and the Buccaneer bunnies all kinds of useful things, like how to plant carrots, how to make the best sandcastles, and build boats out of palm fronds. Soon, they built a new ship, which they sailed to the library at the nearby Easter Islands every summer. Here, the bunnies spent many happy hours slurping seaweed stew and reading books. "Aye, Buccaneer bunnies will always need books," said Black-Ear. Henry just smiled and turned the page. So, I love this book because it teaches you that books are so important and you learn a ton of information from them. So up next is Mrs. Donovan.
Hello. The book I'm going to read today is Stanley's Party. And this book is for any of you who have a dog and have wondered what they do when you are away. So this is Stanley's Party by Linda Bailey. Stanley knew he wasn't supposed to sit on the couch, but his people went out a lot, and they never came home before midnight. So one night, Stanley began to wonder what would happen if he sat on the couch while they were gone, just for a minute. He put one paw on the couch and waited. Nothing happened. He put up a second paw. Slowly, Stanley dragged his whole huge body onto the couch. He sat there nervously, listening. He waited for someone to yell, "Stanley, off the couch!" But no one said a thing. So Stanley lay down. The couch was more comfortable than he'd ever dreamed. Stanley stretched out his legs. He put his paws up on the cushions. He sprawled and squirmed and sniffed the leather trim. The couch was wonderful. All that evening, Stanley lolled and lounged on the couch. Just before midnight, he remembered his people. He straightened the cushions, brushed away dog hair, and hopped off the couch. When his people came home, he was waiting at the door. "Good dog, Stanley," they said. "Ruff," said Stanley, wagging his tail. Stanley felt terribly clever. He was so pleased with himself that the next night he decided to try something new. He had noticed that when his people sat on the couch, they often listened to music. Stanley had seen how they got it. He pushed some buttons with his nose, and a moment later, music filled the room. Stanley was entranced. His body began to sway. His feet began to move. Soon Stanley was waltzing around the room. When the music changed, he tried a cha-cha and a tango. He even did a bit of ballet. Stanley danced up a storm that night. He didn't stop until just before midnight. Then he turned off the music and tidied the couch. When his people came home, he was sitting on the living room floor. "Good dog, Stanley," they said. "Bark to bark, bark," said Stanley. On the third night, Stanley broke into the fridge. It wasn't hard. He just pushed his nose firmly into the rubber seal, and the door popped open. There was a lasagna there that he'd been watching for days. It didn't last long. After it was gone, Stanley licked the plate clean and put it in the sink. When his people came home, he was lying on his dog bed. "Good dog, Stanley," they said. "Oops," said Stanley. Stanley couldn't believe his new life. Now he didn't mind at all when his people went out. As soon as they left, he sat on the couch. He sashayed and shimmied to the music. He nibbled and noshed from the fridge. "I am having so much fun," thought Stanley. But after a couple of weeks, he realized that something was still missing. And one day when Stanley's people took him to the dog park, he figured it out. He was tired of having fun alone. Stanley trotted over to his best friend, Alice. "How'd you like to come over to my house this evening?" said Stanley in dog talk. "What for?" asked Alice. "We could sit around on the couch," said Stanley. "Put on some music, do a little dancing, maybe have a snack." "Sounds great," said Alice. "What sounds great?" asked Oscar, coming up to join them. Before Stanley knew it, he had invited Oscar, and Mabel, and Digger, and Gassy Jack. He invited 2 more dogs on the way home, and all the dogs he invited talked to other dogs, and those dogs talked to other dogs, and those dogs talked to other dogs still. That night, right after Stanley's people left, the dogs began to show up. At first, they came in 2s and 3s, and then they arrived in packs. Some of them were Stanley's friends, but a lot more were strangers. Stanley wasn't worried. The more, the merrier. It wasn't long before the house was jammed with every kind of dog you could imagine. Shaggy dogs, bald dogs, dogs with wrinkles, dogs with fleas, humongous dogs, winsy dogs, dogs with floppy ears. They filled the rooms, they packed the stairs, they flowed out onto the porch and lawn. Drooling dogs, dainty dogs, and dogs that needed a bath. "Anyone hungry?" asked Stanley, popping the fridge door open. Dogs poured into the kitchen. "Help yourself," said Stanley. Soon the fridge was bare. "Anyone care for some music?" asked Stanley. He put on some rock and roll. The dogs went wild. They stomped, they boogied, they bebopped and jived. They twisted and jitterbugged and mashed. They danced until their paws were sore. They danced till the whole house shook. And who do you think danced hardest of all? Stanley. It was the best doggone party a dog ever had. It was also the only night ever that Stanley's people came home early. At first they didn't say anything, and then they said together very loud, "Stanley, bad dog." All the dogs except Stanley had to go home. Stanley helped his people clean up. It took 2 whole days. After that, whenever Stanley's people went out, they took Stanley with them. Stanley didn't mind. He went out a lot, and he never came home before midnight. As for the party, well, this all happened a long time ago, but in Stanley's neighborhood, the dogs still talk about that night. And the dogs that were there told other dogs, and those dogs told still other dogs. The story spread until dogs all over the country heard it. Then dogs all over the world. And now, wherever dogs gather from Tumaruma to Timbuktu, they tell the story of Stanley's party. If you don't believe me, ask your dog. And that's the end. Next up is Mrs. Tewitt.
I'm going to continue with the theme about dogs with my book called Bad Dog by Mike Bolt. Here's my birthday list. Number 1, I want a dog. And you can see, coming out of the present must be a dog. Look what I got for my birthday, a pet dog. My dog has black and white fur, pointy ears, and a cute little nose. Her name is Rocky, and she is a bad dog. Rocky doesn't listen like good dogs. Hey, Rocky, come. Aw, come on. You can do it, Rocky. Come here, girl. See, Rocky is a bad dog. Good dogs like to go for walks, but not Rocky. And Rocky really doesn't like other dogs. Meow. She is great at climbing, though. Bad dog, Rocky, come down. Rocky doesn't listen. She's a bad dog. I'm teaching Rocky some tricks that good dogs do. See my book, Dog Tricks for Good Dogs. Sit, Rocky. Stay. Fetch, Rocky. Rocky, roll over. Shake a paw. Rocky is not a good dog. But Rocky isn't all bad. Rocky doesn't bark when the mail is delivered. And Rocky doesn't have accidents on the floor. She doesn't chew my toys either, though she does like to play with my shoelaces. What else does Rocky like? Rocky likes to sleep in the sun, and sleep on Dad's chair, and sleep on Mom's clothes. Rocky really likes to sleep. I thought Rocky liked to play in the water. But she is not a fan of bath time. Calm down, Rocky. See, Rocky still doesn't listen. She is a bad dog. With black and white fur, pointy ears, and a cute little nose. You know what? I think Rocky would make a pretty great cat. Well, most of the time. And there goes Rocky. And here comes my friend, Mrs. Hay.
Hi, everyone. I chose a book that's a new series to me. It's Pig the Pug series, which many of you might be familiar with, but I always like finding some new series and new authors. So this is from the Pig the Pug series, but it's Pig the Winner. Pig came first. Pig was a pug, and I'm sorry to say, if he didn't come first, it would ruin his day. Yes, Pig was a winner. He just had to win, and nothing would stop him. Oh, where to begin? Believe it or not, he was quite hard to beat, and the reason was simple. Yes, Pig was a cheat. But if he did lose, he'd throw a pink fit. He'd scream and he'd cry and he just wouldn't quit. He'd sob and he'd sulk with a quivering chin till you gave up and said to him, "Okay, you win." But as soon as you said it, he'd clamp and he'd stamp and he'd rub it in loudly that he was the champ. Trevor would say to him, "Let's just have fun." But Pig would reply, "It ain't fun till I've won." So one night at supper, Pig shouted with glee, "Who can eat faster? I bet that it's me." Trevor said shyly, "I don't want to race." But Pig had yelled go and was stuffing his face. He wolfed down his food, he gobbled his kibble. His face was awash with biscuits and dribble. He chomped up 3 sausages, all of them whoppers. Then he munched through his doggy treats, gnashing his choppers. He swallowed it all in a minute or less. But something went wrong. Do you know? Can you guess? Because he was busy stuffing his hole, Pig didn't notice. He swallowed his bowl. Lucky for Pig, Trevor knew what to do. He squeezed out the bowl before Pig could turn blue. But Pig didn't thank him. He just said, "I win." Then the bowl bounced right back and knocked Pig in the bin. These days it's different, I'm happy to say. Pig's not the winner each time that they play. He plays to have fun, and his tantrums have ceased. Yes, Trevor can win now. Well, sometimes at least. And now, boys and girls, my friend Mrs. Retsack is here to read to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Haig. Today, I have chosen a book that is all about the importance of being yourself, and it features my very favorite color, purple. So I'm going to read The World Needs More Purple People by Kristen Bell and Benjamin Hart. Hey kid, I've got a secret. It's gonna knock your socks off, and I can't wait to share it with you. Ta-da! Follow my guide to become a purple person. How to Be a Purple Person by Penny. Now, you may be asking yourself, why in the whole wide world would I want to be purple? Purple is a magic color made when red and blue work together. I think all the best things in the world are purple. But you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with people? Wow, are you a genius? Because you're already on your way to becoming a purple person. You want to know why? Step 1, ask really great questions. My dad says purple people ask great questions, questions about everything, even questions about questions. Like, hey Dad, how far away is outer space? Have you ever met a dolphin? How many dolphins live in outer space? Purple questions are the kind that help you learn something really big about the world or something really small about another person, like how tall is the world's tallest rainbow? Or what's your bear's name? Charlie. Dad says the more purple questions you ask, the more purple you become. How many do you think there are? He also says I can only ask him 20 questions about space dolphins per day. Step 2 is laugh a lot. My grandma says purple people laugh a lot. We are always laughing together. I mean, like snot out of our nose laughing. We laugh at books. We laugh at jokes like, how do you make a tissue dance? You put a little boogie in it. We laugh at donkey dances and hairy elephant knees. And we especially laugh at Grandpa's funny noises. Purple laughing helps us remember the things that we share and forget what we thought made us different. And it's almost impossible to be angry when you're laughing. Try it, I dare you. Grandma says the more purple laughing you do, the more purple you become. She also says Grandpa's noises are her favorite funny noises in the whole wide world. Step 3 is use your voice and don't lose your voice. My mom says purple people use their voice and don't lose their voice. She encourages me to use my voice to sing, to give good ideas, and to share my opinions. I personally feel like we shouldn't have to eat Brussels sprouts because they smell like sweaty socks. Sometimes people lose their voice, and that's okay. It happens. A purple voice helps somebody who's having trouble finding their own voice. Purple people don't just speak up, they also listen. Maybe you could tell them you don't like when they call you that name. Want me to help you tell them? Mom says the more you use a purple voice, the more purple you become. Mom, can you help me with my play? She also says she heard my opinion on Brussels sprouts, but I still have to eat them. I'm going to have to work on a better argument. Step 4, work hard, super duper hard. My grandpa says purple people know how to dig in and get stuff done. He and I like to work hard when we build things, while we learn things, and while we grow things. Purple work is the kind of work that's done together to change something that needs changing. What do we want? More playgrounds. When do we want them? Now. To fix something that needs fixing or to help someone who needs helping. Grandpa says the more purple work you do, the more purple you become. He also says no purple work has ever been done while sitting on your backside sipping strawberry lemonade. Okay, are you ready for the last step? Are you ready? Are you sure? Are you sure you're sure? Are you really, really ready? Okay, drum roll, please. Step 5, paint yourself purple. Just kidding. That's not the way to become a purple person. Actually, being a purple person has nothing to do with what you look like. My teacher says that purple people look all sorts of ways. They are big and small, old and young. Some wear cool coats. Some wear shorts with lots of pockets, and some wear funny hats. She says some purple people feel blue sometimes and red other times. And some purple people even have green hair. Step 5 is just be the real you. Like my teacher always says, purple people come in every color you can dream up and every size you can think up. The only way to be purple is to just be you, because you're the only you we've got. So those are my surefire steps to turning into a purple person. Hey, wait a minute. You ask really great questions. You laugh a lot. You use your voice all the time. You are a really hard worker, and you are totally you. Well, I'll be a llama's mama. You've been beautifully purple this whole time. I am sure glad you're a purple person, because the world needs more purple people, just like you. All right, next up is Mrs. Worcester.
Hi, some of you. I am going to read All Are Welcome. And I think it's important to give the authors credit. So this is written by Alexandra Penfold and Suzanne Kaufman. Pencils sharpened in their case, bells are ringing, let's make haste. School's beginning, dreams to chase, all are welcome here. No matter how you start your day, what you wear when you play, or if you come from far away, all are welcome here. In our classroom, safe and sound, fears are lost and hope is found. Raise your hand, we'll go around. All are welcome here. Gather now, let's take part. We'll play music, we'll make art. We'll share stories from the heart. All are welcome here. Time for lunch, what a spread. A dozen different kinds of bread. Pass it around till everyone's fed. All are welcome here. Open doors, rush outside. We'll swing, we'll slide, we'll have fun side by side. All are welcome here. We're part of a community. Our strength is in diversity. A shelter from adversity. All are welcome here. We'll learn from each other, special talents we'll uncover. There's a big world to discover. All are welcome here. So much to learn, so much to do. And when the busy day is through, can't wait to come back and start anew. All are welcome here. Head for home to get some rest and greet tomorrow ready and fresh. Our time together is the best. All are welcome here. You have a place here. You have a space here. And whether we'll see you back at Summit View next year or you're starting somewhere new, you are always welcome here.
I love that we get to end on that message, that you are welcome here. Thank you to all of the staff who read their favorite books, and thanks to everyone for listening. Reading is so important, and it doesn't just happen at Summit View. If you read at home in your classroom right now, raise your hand, raise it loud and proud. Teachers too, thank you for continuing to read outside of our great blue walls. And if you don't typically read at home, this is the summer to start. We want to hear about all the books that you are going to be reading this summer. And next year, we are going to continue strong in our books. Thank you, everyone, for joining us on the roof. And to close out, I'll give you a little peek here at where we have been. You can see some familiar Summit View